Meeting of the Lake Zurich Village Board to order. Kathleen, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Poynton,
Here.
Trustee Baradwaj,
Here.
Trustee Marks,
Here.
Trustee Spicone,
Present.
Trustee Chagru,
Here.
Trustee Wider,
Present.
Trustee Riley is absent and excused.
Okay, thank you. Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a packed agenda tonight, so we're going to get right to public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for residents to comment briefly on matters included on the agenda and otherwise of interest to the Board of Trustees. Public comment is limited to 30 minutes in total and up to 5 minutes per speaker, depending upon the number of commenters. We will take public comments first from the sign-in sheet in the order in which people signed in. When you step to the podium, please speak clearly into the microphone. Identify yourself with your name and address for the record, and please direct your comments to the board. So first person on the sign-up list is Brian Sullivan. Evening, Brian.
Good evening, sir. And thank you all for the opportunity. I'd like to first start out by just saying this is indeed an honor to be able to be before you and the village board. It's only locally here in the United States where you can in fact impact directly and present to decision makers who are going to enact legislation that will impact all of our lives. So thank you for that opportunity.
Welcome.
My name is Brian Sullivan. I'm the executive director with the Ancient Oaks Foundation here in Lake Zurich. I appear on behalf of the Ancient Oaks Foundation to express our strong opposition to the proposed plan to add additional parking spaces at Breezewald Park. While we appreciate the village's efforts to address the community parking needs, we believe this proposal conflicts sharply with the core mission, values, and our vision at the Ancient Oaks, and we would have serious negative impacts on the natural environment and long-term community character. As you know, our mission is dedicated to the preservation of local oak woodlands and natural areas throughout the village, based on education, volunteerism, supportive funding, and long-term planning for sustainable green spaces. Three key concerns exist about the proposed parking expansion at Breezewald Park. First was the reduction of green space and loss of mature trees. Expanding the existing parking area would necessarily encroach on parkland now preserved for passive recreation, shade, and wildlife habitat. The addition of impervious surface for more parking undermines the very purpose of these green spaces, which is to maintain the natural areas for generations to come. Further, such expansion likely means the removal of mature trees whose ecological value cannot be replaced quickly, if at all, undermining both the near and long-term environmental health of our park, our beautiful park. Second is the potential impact of pollinator habitat. Ancient Oaks has worked with the village in the past to support native plantings, pollinator-friendly gardens, and habitat restoration across local parks, including at Breezewald. Increasing traffic and alerting the park and altering the park footprint threatens these efforts, risking damage to pollinator gardens and the native flora and fauna. Such habitat fragmentation undermines biodiversity and contradicts Ancient Oaks' mission to preserve natural areas and native vegetation. Third, long-term sustainability and community vision. By converting open space into parking, we send the wrong message about what we value as a community. Rather than expanding parking in our parks, we should prioritize sustainable, nature-forward planning that promotes our ecological heritage. Given these conflicts, we respectfully urge the village to explore alternative options for additional parking that do not compromise parkland. For example, identify underutilized parcels or lots in the adjoining downtown area where new parking could meet community needs without sacrificing green space. Possibly consider shared parking or timed parking schemes, possibly using existing downtown lots, streets for parking to reduce pressure on the park footprint. Third, explore green parking solutions, permeable paving, minimal impervious area, buffering landscapes, etc. If parking expansion is unavoidable, but only, please, as a last resort. We believe that by pursuing such alternatives, the village can meet parking needs without undermining the long-term environmental and recreational value of Breezewald Park. Thank you for your time and your consideration and continued commitment in balancing community growth with natural preservation. We at the Ancient Oaks Foundation stand ready to assist where we can, when we can, and how you would determine we can be of assistance. Together, we think we can make this community not only excellent, but one that is left with natural beauty and an ecological sense of purpose for future generations. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Next is Martin Jablonski.
Hello all. Thank you for having me. I likewise echo what Brian said. You know, we're very grateful for the selfless service that you put forth to our community, and I'm thrilled with the finished product of our downtown, because you definitely raised the stature of Lake Zurich with the paving that was done down there, Mayor. So I compliment you and the rest of the board with that improvement. My remarks today will address that there may be other ways to make Breezewald Park safer, ones that will reduce the proposed paving over parkland and does not sacrifice irreplaceable trees. I have here this is the first one I want to, excuse me, where's the first one here? This one right here. If you could maybe spotlight this one right here.
Use the microphone, please.
Yes, I will. So the point behind this is, if we did a parking analysis, I think you would could be proved that it's more economical and profitable and feasible to construct a new driveway on less land. The driveway basically accommodates and solves the problem regarding safety, because you can circulate the cars right through the parking lot without adding 9 additional parking spaces. The idea to disperse the parking needs, it's a supply and demand issue, is that you will more closely follow and honor the comprehensive plan, which talks about enhancing walkability through this community. And I think that you would find that from an economic standpoint, Sunset Pavilion could be leveraged into creating more vitality in downtown. It's a mini Ravinia. But bear in mind, Ravinia doesn't have parking right next to it. You have to walk some distance or take a bus. And so with Sunset Pavilion, we have the opportunity to leverage that enterprise in a way that encourages people to park in well-publicized, well-promoted parking lots. I call them parking pods. But they can be dispersed throughout downtown, and as a result of having to park a few hundred feet away, they will have the experience of being downtown. I would even proffer the possibility that you could find the downtown merchants would readily support that initiative. They want people coming through their downtown, not driving through, walking through. The second point is this one right here. Breezewald Park has more parking per acre than almost any other park in the village. There's only 3 parks that have more parking per acre. It has more parking than Paulus Park. Additionally, it has more than 200 spaces within 800 feet of the park. No other park, I think, has that. But Breezewald Park does. All this unused, underutilized land out there, parking otherwise, that is sitting there waiting to be discovered. I think it would be helpful to commission a parking study to fully address the supply and demand issues.
Marty, your 5 minutes is almost up.
It is. Thank you, Mayor. So you see here a chart of all this disparate parking out there. Let's utilize it. And let's actively engage with the owners of this land, because I think they'd be willing to make it available. You spend, this proposal to create the park, I calculate, could cost more than $1 million if you factor in the value of the underlying land, which could be more than $100 a square foot. And you're going to eradicate it. Doesn't make any economic sense. It will not pay for itself. It's the equivalent of over $100,000 per space, whereas your commercial enterprise might pay 20 to 30 and use it 80% more of the time. So with that, I just recommend that there be a parking study completed in concert with the comprehensive plan. That was the only missing component. Let's finish it out and see what that parking analysis tells us. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, board members.
Thank you, Marty. Next is Alicia Tim.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thanks for your service to our community. It's tireless and endless. I am happy to be here on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I found a really interesting, my name is Alicia Tim, 1060 Browning Lane. I found a really interesting quote from him today. He said, at the Sermon on Peace in 1968, "It really boils down to this, that all life is interrelated." And there's an idea of environmental justice. It's social, economic, environmental, right? And this affects people in different ways. And in his letter from the Birmingham jail, he said, all of these problems are tied together. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied into a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And so I just see this parking expansion as it's a moral decision, really, because we are deciding what is the value of our old growth trees. And many communities do not have these trees, and we are so lucky to have them. They keep carbon sequestered in the ground, they hold tons of water, they provide shade, which is like the most important asset we have now that we have had the hottest years on record for the last 11 years running. We need to keep the trees in our parks. And those spaces could be put kids on them and people on them. So that space is 40 picnic blankets. It's 40 picnic blankets of people that we're saying, well, you can park there, but we don't want you to sit in the park and watch the fireworks this year because we just don't have room because we have this parking. Also, I would like to remind people that Sunset Pavilion, if that parking is for Sunset Pavilion, is only open mid-May to October. So not like 5 months, and the beach is only open like 10 weeks. So right now, there's nobody parking in the parking lot, and the trees are happy. And I just want to keep them there. I know later, I have a question about the gazebos, if they're going to be for rent or for free, because I think the current one we have is for free. And I would like to keep that equitable for our community, to have free resources, to have free shade, to be able to keep their park, a little party spot for themselves. Also, with the Master Parks Plan we're discussing later, I would just beg you and plead with you not to pave the paths at Cushman Arboretum. I feel like you think it's necessary, but national parks are not ADA accessible at all times. We have many efforts in the community to make things ADA accessible. That is a natural area. It is an arboretum. We do not need pavement and toxic pavement sealant in Cushman Arboretum. And we do not need a labyrinth. We need trees and plants and whatever's there just naturally. So thank you for your time and all your work that you do for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is, I'm sorry, I can't read your last name, but Sherry B.R.
Brezen.
What is it?
Brezen.
B-R-E-O-N.
B-R-E-S-N.
Okay.
Thank you.
R-E-S.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Sherry Brezen. I'm a 30-year resident of Lake Zurich. The proposal against the expansion of parking into Breezewald is what I'm here to talk about. And this proposal outlines strong reasons to not use, the proposal I'm going to talk about is outlining strong reasons to not use Breezewald Park as an extension of existing parking lot. Expanding the parking lot into this park would result in the loss of valuable green space, as mentioned, negatively impacting wildlife and create ongoing quality of life issues for nearby residents, while offering benefits only during a small portion of the year. Loss of green space and trees and wildlife habitat. Breezewald Park is one of the few remaining natural green spaces around the lake. Converting portions of it into a parking lot would remove mature trees, which includes a 100-year-old elm tree, which I have clear line of sight to from my home. These trees provide shade, air filtering, and storm water absorption. It would displace wildlife that relies on the environment for nesting, feeding, and seasonal migration. It would permanently alter the economic balance of the immediate neighborhood. The environmental costs would be permanent, while the parking lot's usefulness would remain limited and is seasonal. The limited seasonal usage, only around 4 months per year. The primary justification for expanding the parking area is for peak activity witnessed to occur during the months between May to August. And I've witnessed this. I've lived in my location for 8 years. However, for the remaining 8 months, parking demand significantly drops. What truly would be the return on investment here? A large underutilized parking lot becomes wasted paved space that contributes to heat, runoff, and long-term maintenance costs. The cost-benefit ratio does not justify the permanent loss of public parkland for something used less than 1/3 of the year. Next is the impact on immediate neighbors: noise, exhaust, and loss of privacy. As a resident living directly adjacent to the current parking lot, I experienced firsthand noise pollution, including engines, motorcycles, loud conversations, car doors slamming all day and into the night past the park and pavilion's closing hours. There's car exhaust, which affects the air quality for the folks both at the park and those that live around it. Their cars run idle in the parking lot. There's reduced privacy, as cars and pedestrians are often a few feet away from my front door. Expanding the lot further will intensify the disruptions and degrade residents' quality of life. Now, viable alternative parking locations exist. And I appreciate my predecessor, Marty, for what he brought up as some of the solutions. There are multiple areas in and around Main Street that could serve as potential parking solutions without sacrificing public parkland. These include underutilized private lots that can be used through shared use agreements, street side parking zones that could be better marked, reorganized, or expanded, existing lots that are not fully used due to lack of communication, wayfinding, or signage. With proper coordination and communication, these options can meet peak season demands without environmental loss or neighborhood impact. My recommendation is to reject any plans that involve converting portions of Breezewald Park into additional parking. Conduct a thorough review of alternative parking locations along Main Street and the surrounding areas. Engage the public with clear wayfinding and improved communication and better utilization of the existing infrastructure. Preserving Breezewald Park ensures long-term environmental, recreational, and community benefits, while smarter parking strategies can meet seasonal demand without irreversible damage. Please consider these suggestions, and thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you. Sherry Gullo.
Hi. Hello, I'm Sherry Gullo. I live at 585 Cypress Bridge Road. I've lived at that address for 45 years. I'm here regarding the trees. When I was a freshman in high school, Joni Mitchell had a big hit song, Big Yellow Taxi, and some of the lyrics you probably remember. They paved paradise and they put up a parking lot. I feel like that's kind of like what we're doing. We're going to take down mature trees to make more space for cars when it still will not alleviate the problem of how many parking spots you probably really need there. Most everyone said everything I was going to say tonight, but I would like to add some options that I had come up with. I think you could reconfigure the existing parking lot, make fewer spaces, make them all handicapped accessible. Or you could tear up the parking lot, plant more trees. I think we'd all be happy with that. Or let's get really creative and progressive and turn it into a lot for bike riding. Obesity is a huge problem in this country, and people already have to walk to that park. So I think we should encourage walking, and I loved everyone's ideas about alternative places for people to park. And I just hope you consider, in Spain and in a lot of European countries right now, they're saying shade is one of their natural resources, especially with climate change. And some of you might not believe in it, but people are going to be seeking out change and going to parks for shade, and I hope you'll consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Mulvey?
Kevin Mulvey, 189 Alpine Drive. I'm a resident of Lake Zurich. I'm also a board member on the Ancient Oaks Foundation. Here to state my opposition to the expansion of the parking lot at Breezewald. Roughly 3 years ago, I think I stood up here. I opposed a similar proposal. It's actually what got me involved in Ancient Oaks. I care about the preservation of the natural areas in our community. It's a limited resource. Brian was kind enough to come up here and state our formal position as an organization. As an individual, though, it's a pretty straightforward issue to me. Common sense, if you will. Put simply, the trade-off isn't worth it. Giving up valuable green space for more pavement on such a small slice of land, it's just not in the best interest of our community. And I don't believe it should move forward for that reason. Just one small note, as you may know, Ancient Oaks has started a petition in support of our opposition for this project. In about 24 hours, we've gathered about 148 signatures, majority of which are residents of Lake Zurich as well. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Grace Turek? Did I say that right? Tursich?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Grace Tursich, 199 Alpine Drive. On August 28th, 2025, I sat down at Breezewald Park and spoke to the mayor and trustee Sujatha on matters concerning Block A. I think it's important to note that in this meeting, I urged the mayor to consider more public green space instead of the townhouse development. He disagreed. Furthermore, the mayor insisted that parking is not an issue in downtown Lake Zurich. Now, 5 months later, parking is so important that it's going to destroy our community green space in Breezewald Park. I'm bringing this conversation to the board's attention because Lake Zurich had the option to add more parking to Block A. Even the Zoning and Planning Commission didn't approve the plan due to parking restraints. I'm not saying parking isn't an issue. It is an issue. But the solution shouldn't be to remove even more green space in the heart of Lake Zurich. I urge the board to reject this plan and consider a more sustainable, environmentally friendly solution, one that does not cut into our natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Frank. Hi, Brian.
I didn't mean to sign up. I'm part of 3E, I think. Thanks,
Oh,
though.
okay.
I didn't know the rules.
Okay. We got about 5 minutes left in public comment. Is there anybody else who didn't sign up who wants to say something that hasn't been already said? Okay. Then I will close public comment. Thank you for your comments. And move on to the president's report. I'm going to move over to the podium for a little bit. We have some police and fire swear-ins to get through, so. I'm not going to swear.
That's why I hate this.
All righty, we have a proclamation here that I'd like to take care of. Chief Husak is going to join me. We have a proclamation for one of our retiring crossing guards and a swear-in for a new police officer. So I want to introduce, get over here, Ann. Anne Marie Arden.
Yes.
A 49-year crossing guard in the village of Lake Zurich who is retiring. Are you sure you want to retire?
Well,
Well, we appreciate your service, and I'm going to read this proclamation for you. We can't find the nice fancy one, so we're going to make sure that it gets to you, so this will be on record. So anyways, we have a proclamation honoring Anne Marie Arden for her 49 years of service to the Village of Lake Zurich. And I don't usually read all the whereases, so I'm not going to read all those. And I just summarized this. But for you, for 49 years, I'm going to read everything. So, whereas adult school crossing guards provide an invaluable service in helping ensure the safe passage of our youngest, most vulnerable pedestrians walking between home and schools. And Mrs. Arden served as an adult school crossing guard from 1976 to 2025, an incredible 49 years. How many of you lived here in 1976? 2, 3, there you go. Mrs. Arden served with dedication that discounts the rigors of harsh weather, split shifts, and heavy traffic. Mrs. Arden helped reinforce the importance of traffic hazard identification and safe street crossing behavior in the minds of young people she assisted over her many years of service. Mrs. Arden has provided exemplary service to her community by providing public service for many years. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Tom Poynton, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the citizens of Lake Zurich, do hereby recognize the safety contributions of Anne Marie Arden that Anne Marie Arden has made to the children of the Village of Lake Zurich as a crossing guard during the past 49 years, and extend my personal wishes for her continued success in life's pursuits and in retirement. Anne, thank you very much. Anne was at Sarah Adams for all those years?
No.
No.
I
Where
started on Route 22 and Old Rand Road,
Okay,
and then I went over to St. Francis, and then I went over to Sarah Adams.
Sarah Adams, okay. Well, again, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Coming up in retirement.
Just two more things to recognize, Ann. We have some items that were brought to you by Eric. Sergeant Perez is here. He's in charge of our traffic division, so he works with our crossing guards. He's got thank you notes and some cards that the children from District 95 had provided to us, so we appreciate that. And the other fun fact is Public Works Director Mike Brown, I believe, Ann was his crossing guard back when he was a wee little junior junior Public Works Director. So thank you, Ann. And we'll get a nice picture with the mayor, and then we'll be.
He had a beard then, too.
Yeah, he had a beard then. Mayor, do you want to get a picture with that? Come on, Ann. Come on, Eric. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, next for Chief Husak is the public oath of office in recognition of Police Officer Dan Daigle. Chief?
Thanks, Mayor. Dan, you want to come up and join me? So thank you for your time, board, and everyone. Appreciate you being here. This is Officer Dan Daigle. He's one of our newer officers. He started with the Lake Zurich Police Department back in April of 2025, and then he attended the Police Academy, the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy at the College of DuPage throughout all through the summer of 2025, and he graduated in August. And then he participated in our in-house field training program. That's another 14-week program in which he's trained locally by our officers. And he was released to solo patrol back in November. And so this is a time that we recognize Dan for all those accomplishments. And now he's on his own on the road. We'd like to introduce him to the community. Officer Daigle attended Illinois State University for a short time.
If you remember, a few years ago, there was something called a pandemic, and that's when Dan went to college and said, this is odd to go to college during a pandemic. And so he decided that wasn't what he wanted to do. Then he was a firefighter for a short time, and he came to his senses, and he decided, you know what? I think I'm going to go the police route. So he then joined the Palatine Police Department as a community service officer and did that from 2022 to 2025 when he got hired here. And so we're happy to have him. Dan comes from a police family. His father, Dave Daigle, is the chief of police in Barrington, and Dave's here with us tonight. So after the oath of office, Dave is going to pin his badge on Dan. So for now, though, we're going to give Mayor the oath of office and Dan the oath of office, and you can go
We
ahead.
have that on? Okay. Come on up here, Dan. You ready? Okay, right hand. Okay. I, Daniel Daigle,
I, Daniel J. Daigle,
having been appointed to the position of police officer in the Village of Lake Zurich Police Department,
having been appointed to the position of police officer in the Village of Lake Zurich Police Department,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and enforce the laws of the Village of Lake Zurich,
and enforce the laws of the Village of Lake Zurich,
while faithfully protecting lives and property as I discharge the duties of police officer to the best of my abilities.
while faithfully protecting lives and property as I discharge the duties of police officer to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I just told him.
Yeah, right.
Congratulations, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. Dad, if you want to pin the badge on Danny in front of everybody, that would be great. Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, next is Chief Pilgard. He's going to talk about a new firefighter and some promotions. So, Chief, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor Poynton. We're going to start with the promotions this evening. And the first of those will be our new Deputy Chief of Operations, Mike Rakowski. He comes to us with experience from the Grays Lake Fire Protection District, the Glenview Fire Department. He holds a Bachelor's of Science degree from NIU University in Industrial Technology. He's currently working on his public administration degree, his master's degree from Columbia Southern University, and he is a certified Illinois Office of the State Fire Marshal Chief Fire Officer. His specialized skills in the fire service are that he's a member of the Illinois Task Force team, and he's also a member of the Illinois Office of Emergency Management Incident Management team, and he's an instructor at the Illinois Fire Service Institute. He's an outdoor enthusiast who enjoys hunting, fishing, hiking, and snowmobiling. So Mayor Poynton, let's bring Mike up here so he can be sworn in, please.
Ready? Okay. I, Michael Rutkowski,
I, Michael Burkowski,
having been appointed to the position of Deputy Fire Chief
having been appointed to the position of Deputy Fire Chief
in the Village of Lake Zurich in the County of Lake,
in the Village of Lake Zurich in the County of Lake,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Deputy Fire Chief to the best of my abilities.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Deputy Fire Chief to the best of my abilities.
Mike's wife, Lene, will be pinning his badge on this evening. Next this evening, Lieutenant Jason Henriksen will be sworn into the rank of captain. He's actually been doing it a little bit, but tonight we formally recognize him. Jason has 20 years of service with the Lake Zurich Fire Department. He's working on an associate's degree in fire science at the College of Lake County, and he has his Illinois Office of the State Fire Marshal Advanced Fire Officer certification. He serves on our dive and technical rescue teams. He also enjoys spending time with his family and being out in the outdoors where he enjoys fishing and snowmobiling. Mayor Poynton, here is the new Captain Henriksen's oath of office.
Okay. Raise your right hand. I, Jason Henriksen,
I, Jason Henriksen,
having been duly promoted to the position of captain in the Village of Lake Zurich in the County of Lake,
having been duly promoted to the position of captain in the Village of Lake Zurich in the County of Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a captain to the best of my ability.
and that I'll faithfully discharge the duties of a captain to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Thank you. I saw you stand up twice. I ain't forgetting you.
Jason's son, CJ, will be pinning on his badge with assistance from his wife, Brenda, and his daughter, Kayla. Next, we'll have Ryan Benet be sworn into the rank of Lieutenant Paramedic. Ryan has experience with the Knollwood Fire Department, the Countryside Fire Protection District, the Lake Villa Fire Department, and he's been on Lake Zurich for 12 years. He's an Illinois IDPH paramedic and an Illinois Office of the State Fire Marshal Fire Officer. He is on our water rescue team where he serves as a team leader. He enjoys spending time with his family and in the outdoors boating. Ryan? There you go, sir.
Okay, raise your right hand. I, Ryan Benet.
I, Ryan Benet,
Is that French or is it Benny?
French.
French, okay. Having been duly promoted to the position of lieutenant in the village of Lake Zurich,
Having been duly promoted to the position of lieutenant in the village of Lake Zurich, in the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a lieutenant to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of lieutenant to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
That's the way to do it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He's still in the prime of his service, right?
Ryan's daughter, Rowan, and his son, Silas, will be pinning on his badge with his assistance from his wife, Beth. You kids got it? Okay. There we go. I was just told by what he's holding. And finally, our newest member of the department, Jack Lenz, who will be sworn in as a firefighter paramedic. Jack comes to us from the Batavia Fire Department. He's a certified Illinois Department of Public Health paramedic, an Illinois Office of the State Fire Marshal Basic Operations firefighter, and his hobbies are enjoying playing golf and baseball. Mr. Mayor, there we go.
Okay, right hand is up. I, Jack Lenz,
I, Jack Luntz,
having been duly appointed to the position of firefighter paramedic
having been duly appointed to the position of firefighter paramedic
in the village of Lake Zurich in the county of Lake,
in the village of Lake Zurich in the county of Lake,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a firefighter paramedic to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a firefighter paramedic to the best of my ability.
Just gotta get them pinned, and we will be good.
Congrats, welcome aboard.
Jack's father, David Lentz, will be pinning his badge on this evening. Chief, I present to you your son's badge. Congratulations. Could we please have everyone that was sworn in and promoted this evening come out for a quick photo all together?
Okay, that concludes the president's report tonight. Congratulations to the new guys and the promoted guys. It's nice to know that we're in good hands with the police and fire department. We have quality people in both departments, so thanks to all of you. We'll let the room settle down for a minute, so.
His permit, especially his permit, he's on the consent.
I forgot to mention that two of our police and fire commissioners are here, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Hilt. They do a great job in helping us through the process. So Mike and John, thank you. I didn't see you back there.
It's nice that they always come for this.
Okay, they're mostly cleared out, so we'll move on with the consent agenda. The titles on the consent agenda will be read by the clerk and approved by a single roll call vote. Any item may be pulled from the consent agenda for board discussion or separate vote by any member of the board. Clerk Johnson, would you please read the titles?
6A, approval of minutes from the village board meeting of January 5th, 2026. 6B, approval of executive session minutes from the meetings of August 4th, September 2nd, October 6th, November 3rd, and December 1st, 2025. 6C, approval of the semi-monthly warrant register dated January 19th, 2026, totaling $370,538.30. 6D, ordinance granting a map amendment for the Lake Zurich Golf Club at 534 North Old Rand Road, assigned ordinance 2026-01-643. 6E, ordinance approving amendment to special use permit for Milieu Landscaping at 525 Enterprise Parkway, assigned ordinance 2026-01-644. 6F, authorization to purchase a dump truck and equipment from Curry Motors and Bonnell Industries in the amount not to exceed $160,000. 6G, authorization to purchase and equip a police responder truck from Curry Motors in the amount not to exceed $115,000. 6H, authorization to purchase a skid steer loader from Atlas Bobcat in the amount not to exceed $75,000. 6I, waiver of competitive bid process and approval of agreement with State Industrial Products for the annual hydrogen sulfide reduction program and the amount not to exceed $64,476. 6J, resolution authorizing construction of state highways, assigned resolution 2026-01-108. 6K, authorization to purchase 2 pickup trucks from Curry Motors and the amount not to exceed $129,000. 6L, Park and Recreation FYI 2026 internal special event requests. 6M, Park and Recreation FY 2026 external special events requests. 6N, resolution authorizing road closures for the Lake Zurich Triathlon. Sign the resolution 2026-01-109. 6O, 2026-2027, Special Recreation Association of Central Lake County member agency contribution, the amount of $134,708. 6P, agreement with Lucas Landscaping for the 2026 tree trimming program in the amount not to exceed $250,000. 6Q, ordinance amending section 3.3 of the tax increment finance development agreement between the Village of Lake Zurich and JGS Lake Zurich West LLC, assigned ordinance 2026-01-645. 6R, public engagement and public opinion research service agreement with Beyond Your Base in the amount of $65,000.
Give her some water.
Nice job.
You didn't mess it up at all. Good job. Okay, are there any board questions or discussion desired on any item, or would anyone like any item pulled for a separate vote? Anybody down on the left and right? Okay, all good? Okay, then may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it is presented, please?
So moves, McComb.
Mark, and a second, please?
Second.
Mark and Marks.
Dynamic duo.
Ready?
Kathleen, call the roll.
Trustee Baradwaj. Aye. Trustee Marks.
Aye.
Trustee Spicone.
Aye.
Trustee Chagru.
Aye.
Trustee Wider.
Aye.
Okay,
5.
the consent agenda passes, thank you. We move on to new business, item 7A, Trustee Marks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item A, agreement with DeLand Construction for the Breezewald Park Improvement Project in the amount not to exceed $1,161,384.30. In summary, the fiscal year 2026 budget allocates funds for the Breezewald Park Improvement Project as identified in the village's capital investment plan, CIP, to be completed in 2026. The park improvement project includes several site safety and accessibility enhancements to improve functionality and safety, with parking improvements to add 9 additional parking spaces. Under current conditions, when the parking lot is full, vehicles are unable to turn around and must reverse uphill to exit the lot, creating unsafe conditions for motorists and pedestrians. The proposed new layout introduces a flow-through traffic pattern to reduce conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians and improves overall traffic safety. Additional project improvements include new railings, a gazebo structure, earthwork, perennial plantings, decorative boulders, slope reshaping for ADA compliance for all pathways and parking, beach area enhancements, a new retaining wall with an integrated drainage system, and a permeable paver patio to prevent stormwater runoff causing erosion to the beach, improving durability of the shoreline. The project went out for bid opening on January 8th, 2026, yielding 6 bids. Staff reviewed references for the lowest bidder, DeLand Construction, with references showing the contractor is qualified to perform the improvements.
Okay, Mike Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. The proposed, is this thing on? Thank you. The proposed project in front of you tonight includes improvements such as a new beach wall that will improve the structural integrity of what's there today. Stormwater improvements such as a bioswale to collect stormwater runoff from the parking lot and other areas within the park. A new storm system along the beach, at the top of the beach adjacent to the wall that will also collect stormwater and drain it into existing swale areas. Replace the pathways in place today, a shelter replacement, a landscape enhancements, and the reconfiguration of the existing parking lot to add a flow-through parking lot that does not exist today, as well as 9 additional spots. I want to point out that this checks the box, this design in front of you tonight checks the boxes for us for safety, ADA enhancements, and add some additional parking in the downtown. In addition, I do want to be very clear that there are 2 trees that are recommended or will have impact and recommended for removal. One is a Chinese chestnut that, according to our village arborist, is in poor condition. Age life is 30 to 40 years. And the other is an oak tree that is in good condition, estimated to be about 150 years. Those 2 trees are recommended to be removed. The replacement value of those 2 trees are 10 additional trees. Doesn't mean that we can't replace more. We've done more in the past, and we can surely do more throughout parks throughout the village. In addition, the parking is 9 spots adjacent to the pollinator area. We have no intention of impacting or removing the pollinator area. It may have some disturbance during construction, but it will be fully restored if we do have some impact. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, well, I'm going to open it up to the board for board comments, if you don't mind. So,
Sure.
Let's start, Jake.
Sure, yeah, appreciate it. Mike, thank you for the explanation. Just for, and this may be a stupid question, do you relish cutting down trees, Mike?
I do not.
Okay. And then, piggybacking off of that, there is an existing problem with the parking lot as it exists today, right?
There is.
Can you help enumerate perhaps what the primary considerations there? I know you've mentioned ADA accessibility, having to back in and out across a sidewalk onto a main road and Old Grand Road. Can you just speak to the qualitative impact of some of those things?
So the primary goal of this project was safety when we're talking about the addition of the parking lot. It's, even if we add just a drive lane, there's still impact to the tree. But our primary function, again, was to avoid people from backing out. There was an incident that happened over the summer last year, albeit the individual is safe, fine, chiefs. But we want to avoid the moment when they're not fine, when there is an issue. And so for us to take a look at other concepts, but we felt this was the one that checked all the boxes.
Cool, that's great, thank you. And I appreciate the quantitative aspect regarding the trees themselves. I might have missed it in the packet. The status of the Chinese maple is
Chinese
definitely,
chestnut, sorry.
Thank you. Is definitely an important consideration if it's not going to be a long-standing tree meant for this world for 40 years is still 40 years, but
right.
There are other considerations we have to make. I think, and I'm going to hold myself accountable here. You did show me this proposal like 4 months ago, right? You showed it to Trustee Wider and I, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. And at the time, I said, this looks great. I'm willing to admit that I've undergone a little bit of an evolution on the subject, and I think the point made regarding shade has begun to resonate more with me because I live right next to Zurich Park, which is a park that doesn't have much shade, and the qualitative value of shade when you have, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5-year-old. Until you're dealing with a kid in the hot sun, the shade of a tree is hard to put a dollar value on. But I will say that shade is an important resource.
Understand.
That said, you did mention there might be alternatives that could be explored. Obviously, there's a lot of public interest and preserving whatever tree canopy and shade exists today. That said, I think if there was a way to pivot the design towards the removal of the decrepit tree and preserving the historical tree, I think that might be something I would be interested in exploring. Part of my problem with the proposal as is right now is it's like an omnibus. It includes a lot of great things, but then this controversial parking aspect is tagged onto it. And I think one of the other points from the public comment that resonated with me was we'll never solve the parking problem because we're creating an attractive place that people want to live and people want to visit, right? And 9 spaces, while an improvement, is a marginal improvement. If there was a way to pivot towards more ADA accessibility, providing more handicap spaces, and solving parking elsewhere, that's where I think that meshes with the comprehensive plan better than the current proposal. But I want to make sure to enumerate, no one's trying to cut down trees for the sake of cutting down trees. There are problems that need to be solved here, and everybody working for the village is engaged in this process in good faith, trying to prevent someone from getting clipped by a car or backing into somebody else's car and having to engage their insurance company, which we all hate. I just wanted to make sure to call out those aspects, and as always, Mike, I appreciate your forthrightness.
I just want to be clear on the trees. The Chinese chestnut is adjacent to the beach wall, so it doesn't have an impact.
Outside the scope of the park.
It does, yeah. So there is one tree that is impacted due to the parking lot.
Very useful. Thank you.
Okay. Sue?
Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor. Mike, I know I've asked you a lot of questions about this, but I wanted to bring it here as well. I'm not an expert, but I wanted to ask, like, leaving the parking lot as is, like, instead of backing uphill, up in the front, I don't know the technicality for that. It's like the hammerhead or T-shaped so that you can go in and back up that way. Would that not hurt, or we don't have to remove the trees in that sense?
In order to add a hammerhead or something of a cul-de-sac, you would end up taking and improving the grade and bringing in everything to today's standards. You would still have impacts with trees, and you would still have greater probably impact with the walking paths and the access closer to the townhomes, as well as the Lake Street or Lakeview Street access.
Okay. All right, that's all I had for you, Mike. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, head down to here. Roger?
Thank you. Appreciate the plan. Quick question in this. The gazebo replacement, I assume it's going to be free, right? So I think that was asked in the public comment.
I just build them.
Okay, sounds good. So I think that answers that question. Have we looked at potentially utilizing the same existing lot and restriping it and just reconfiguring? Is that even?
We've looked at all options. Unfortunately, the width of this parking lot does not provide enough clearance for 2 vehicles to turn around safely and avoiding potential impacts.
If we were to proceed forward, what are we looking at as far as turnaround time?
Our plan is to get in there in February and work with our Polar Plunge folks for their event, and then need to be out by May to limit the impacts for summer.
Okay.
So a very small window on this one.
That's good. All right, thank you.
That it? Greg? Greg Weiner?
Mike, just a couple of quick questions. So one is about the resloping and the improvements made to the pathways for ADA compliance. Can you just talk about that for a little bit? This is a comprehensive, at least from my perspective, this is a comprehensive proposal to make improvements to one of our beloved parks. And I understand folks who've spoken today and concerns about our trees and our green space, and I have shared those, concerns. But at the same time, I think this is a proposal that meets a couple of different needs in that park. And could you talk about the paths and the ADA accessibility issues just for a second, so folks have maybe more of I think one side of this proposal has gotten a lot of attention, and I think some of the other improvements have maybe fallen through the cracks, and I think they're important. So if you could just, maybe just a couple seconds on the ADA stuff.
So pathways and parking lot were installed to standards that were 30, 40 years ago. We've done some patching throughout the pathways, but conditional, they're beyond its life. And not only do we get a lot of traffic within the park for the summertime, but there's an increased traffic wintertime with the special events, Merry and Bright, am I saying that right? Sorry.
Merry and Bright and then Breezewell,
Yeah.
the Express.
Yeah, so it's not just a limited use out there. So if we touch it, we want to conform to today's standards, ADA standards and all of those things. We like to come in and do it once and do it right and then not have to come back.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I had a conversation with staff today about the changing nature of that park and just the amount of use, not just with Sunset Pavilion, but things that we're doing in the winter. The Miracle on Main, I've been in the Village long enough where I knew it was candy canes, a cup of hot chocolate, 2 Carols, flip of the switch, and we were home in 11 minutes. And things have changed in the Village of Lake Zurich. The award-winning, I'm corrected by Trustee Spicone, our award-winning Miracle on Main Street. So I think too, as our programs evolve and our village evolves and our properties evolve, it's important to take a look at these things. So I appreciate that. The other thing, just real quick, and I've been around long enough where when the proposal to do the street parking had come up, and I was very adamant and very vocally against that. Can you just talk about the alternatives? Parking has been an issue, especially as it relates to Breezewald. I know there's been a lot of thought put into this process, a lot of thought on alternatives and the ways to make it not only best for the environment, but for the folks that get there. And again, I don't want to get in a shouting match with folks, but looking at the major findings from one of our agenda items that's going to come, just looking real quick, it says 91% of all respondents said they drive to get to our parks. And I had a conversation on Saturday with one of our county board members who is involved with the forest preserves, and we had that conversation that without adequate parking, use of those parks can be dramatically impacted. So if you could just talk about the alternatives and the process to get to where we've been and where we are today, I'd appreciate it.
Well, you mentioned a concept that we had a couple years ago that was on-street parking, and we vetted that out through the village board. Obviously didn't make it through, but that was a concept that we thought was, it checked the boxes as well as far as not having the amount of impact within the park. This revision that was in, or this concept that's in today, we looked at 3 other different concepts, but none of them we could achieve the safety, the ADA compliance, and the conformity. We couldn't check the boxes on all 3. Safety being the biggest factor we were looking at.
Yeah, okay, and I appreciate that. I understand people's passion for our natural resources, and
Absolutely.
in a lot of ways, I share those passions, and you and I've had a couple of conversations about this. But community safety really is number one priority for me. So I appreciate the thought that you and your staff have put into this proposal. So thank you.
We don't take it light. We know the impacts are there, the challenges are there. We just spent last summer within the downtown, improving the downtown, and it had a lot of impacts with the downtown businesses, the residents that are down there. But looking beyond that, the challenges there, as we say, the inconvenience today for the better tomorrow. I know that's hard to fathom, but it's a true statement.
So, you know what, if I can indulge, I had one more question. So you talked about the replanting of trees, and I've had a conversation with a number of residents and says, well, when you take a 100-year-old tree, and even if you replace it with 15 trees, it's not exactly equal. But at the same time, I would say we're planting these trees for the future. Now, you had made a comment about the tree. There was some kind of formula you used that the value was 12 additional trees planted?
It's 10 total for the both of them, so it's 7 for the oak and 3 for the chestnut.
Okay.
But again, we can do better than that.
Right. So where would those trees go? I mean, I'm assuming they're not all going to go to Breezewald?
They're not, no. So we would work with staff, the village arborists in placement. They can go in Cushman Arboretum. They can go at Paulus. They can go wherever we deem, that's necessary, to enhance any park, or, you don't want an oak tree in the right of way. But we would enhance wherever green space is needed.
So should this move forward this evening, and I know there would be a set of folks that would be disappointed, there still is a potential plus side. And again, the village continues to plant trees, whether this goes through or not. But it's not like the village is turning its back on the future of, and I understand that it will take a number of years for those trees to be equal, but the village is committed to replacing that canopy as possible. And I understand canopy, but what I'm saying is the village is not just proposing to take a tree without doing its best to meet the future needs of residents who are going to live here long after I've moved on.
The community went through a tough time with the EAB. And I just want to point out, since 2011, we've spent over $620,000 in tree replacements. So we take it serious. Yes, this is a challenge, but it's not something that we're looking to get the chainsaws out, and this is where we're going to go on a massacre here. We love our trees, and these are challenging moments.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Okay, Mark?
All right, a lot of things have been said about this project tonight. Trustee Marks, I did want to address one of your concerns about it maybe being an omnibus and being wrapped together. I would feel more that way if we were doing this project and then tried to sneak in something at Paulus Park, okay, or one of the other locations, which isn't the nature of this one. This is all part of the improvement of one location, and so I view it a little differently than maybe you do in that measure. Mike, I'm all about permeable surfaces, and I see that we've got the paver area that's there. And I know one of our residents also brought it up when he came up with some alternative ideas. Is there a possibility that this pavement that we put down, this asphalt, could be a permeable at Brand?
Yes. We don't have a quantity in the bid today. It would substantially increase the cost of the project.
Right.
But we do have areas where bioswales have been put in.
Mm-hmm.
We do have some permeable pavers throughout the park as some enhancements.
Right. Just as we deal with this stormwater runoff as a part of this whole project, right, it might be another thing to consider as an element of that, just to continue to maybe be in there as something to consider.
Right.
If I may, one of the other elements that once we turn the shovel, we will discover the quality of the soils underneath, and that is also a contributing factor of whether or not pavers will work in that particular spot.
Gotcha.
Soils plus under drains,
Yeah.
which could lead to additional impacts with root systems.
Right.
But we'll look at it for sure.
Okay.
And if there's an opportunity to improve, we'll do it.
Yeah. And I've been here on the board now 10 years, I think. We've added a considerable amount to our park spaces over those years. Nowhere really have we taken away any place, right? This would be the first space that we're looking at where we'd be actually taking potentially a small fraction of a park, right, to create these other amenities and to create this space. And I can understand from the community's concerns of, we're paving paradise, right, to put in a parking lot. However, a very small fraction of what we've done over this last 10 years that I've been on the board to approve of what we've added to our spaces in this community. And I think coming in with a zero tolerance mindset, I appreciated the one resident who came in with ideas. I struggle when people come in with a, no, but you got to figure it out. Come to me with solutions, not just opposition, because that doesn't help the dialogue around what's happening, around the work that we're doing. And again, in the big picture in the last 10 years, we have added significantly
without reducing the footprint of any green space, I don't believe, in the time I've been here. This is the one time where we are, and it is, again, there was a lot of misinformation about the quantity of trees, the pollinator garden, all these other pieces. And even people speaking tonight were talking about, one woman was talking about an elm tree. There's not even an elm tree cited in the description here. So there's a lot of misinformation that gets spread on Facebook and things like that, and even here tonight at the dais or at the podium, when really it's, if you have questions or concerns, reach out to staff. That's why they're here. Ask them those questions about the nuances and the details rather than just getting on Facebook right away and putting out a lot of misinformation or a no automatic without coming with solutions and being solution-based. I really think that's the power of a community, and that's where a lot of good ideas come from, and that's the important part of how our government system would work in a much more meaningful way, rather than just being a zero-tolerance response without looking at the big picture of all the work that has been done over the last over the last decade or so. There's been a lot of really good work that's been going on. And so I'll leave my comments there.
It looks vastly different in town from the days when Mrs. Arden was crossing me across the street.
For sure. Okay, you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I have pages of comments. I'm not going to go through them all, but I do want to say to our friends at the Ancient Oaks Foundation, who are the only ones still here, thank you for staying. We usually get the police and fire guys to go, and we're talking to the walls. But I support Trustee Spacone's comments with regard to the misinformation and the hysteria that was created on Facebook. A couple of things. We have 32 parks in Lake Zurich. There's not a community our size that has 32 parks. And when you're talking about parks, you have to remember that not all of our parks are identical. We have open space parks. We have an arboretum. And a lot of these places don't have a lot of trees by design. We have places like Old Mill Grove Park, which has got a lot of open space. It's got a volleyball court. It's got all kinds of stuff that people can play impromptu games at, but it's also got a destination playground at it. We've got Zurich, which is a big open space where the Flames practice football at, and other parks like that as well. Bristol Trail's got basketball courts, and it's got tennis courts, and it's got walking. We have a lot of things in our park that people have to drive through. From what I understand on this particular park, there aren't any new amenities coming. It's the replacement of amenities that have lived through their lifestyle. And at some point in time, back when Breezewald was a baby, that oak tree was a baby. And one of the things that's happened since COVID, and not COVID, but the Emerald Ash Borer, is we took down 3,071 trees that we had nothing to do with. It wasn't our fault. We took them down. We replanted almost all of them, but we didn't plant all of them because there were people who didn't want a tree, and we had to respect that. And there were some trees that were in the way of infrastructure, and we had to change that too, that people sometimes plant a tree right over a manhole, it creates a problem. We're also a tree city. We accommodate all of the requirements of a tree city, and they're numerous. So we take this whole tree issue serious. We can't solve for parking. We cannot solve for every instance of parking. I've lived here, and that's what I told Grace when I met with her. I'm not against parking. I just have I don't agree that we have a parking issue on a day-to-day basis. I've lived here for 40 years, and I've never, ever, ever found a problem parking to do business any place in this community, ever. Now, can I solve for special events or parks that are more popular during some times of the year than others? No, I can't, and we're not gonna. The other thing is, when Marty Jablonski got up here and talked about consolidating or dealing with the open spaces we have in town, those are private properties. They're not our properties. People think because it's open, it's the village's. It's not. It's not ours. So for me, the accommodation of improving Breezewall Park, which is more than just a bar. You know, it's a beach, it's a great place to watch the sunset, it's a great place to watch the fireworks. The loss of a tree or two, I guess I'm okay with it. That's the price we have to pay for upgrading the community that we have. And that's one of my goals. I've said it a million times. I'm not a super visionary, but I know freaking ugly when I see it. And we have some ugly places. The paths at Breezewall Park need to be replaced. The parking lot is a safety issue. The seawall at the beach is a danger. It's got to be replaced. I'm okay with that. And if that doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I think this is a great plan. It's been well thought out, and I would support it. So. That's wonderful, I guess. But it's still going to go if we pass this. So. Okay. And I'll leave my comments at that. I could go through some more, but I'm not going to for this. So where am I at here? Yeah, Jake?
Back to me. Recommended action, a motion to approve an agreement with DeLand Construction for the Breezewall Park Improvement Project for $1,193.36 with a total project cost, including contingencies not to exceed $1,161,384.30.
Okay, you're making the motion, Jake?
I am making the motion.
Okay, and a
I
second?
will second Spicone.
Okay, Mark and Marks again. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Marks?
Aye.
Trustee Spicone?
Aye.
Trustee Chagru?
Aye.
Trustee Wider?
Aye.
Trustee Baradwaj?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. And thanks for your comments.
Thank
We
you,
appreciate them. We're going to move forward with the changes at the park, and I hope you'll take advantage of them and use them. It's a great park. It's a great park. So, okay, next item. Item 7B.
Yeah.
Mark Spicone.
Item 7B, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of waterworks and sewage revenue bonds of the Village of Lake Zurich, Lake County, Illinois, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $42 million. And an ordinance authorizing the issuance of waterworks and sewerage revenue bonds of the Village of Lake Zurich, Lake County, Illinois, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $10 million, assigned ordinance 2026-01-646, and assigned ordinance number 2026-01-647. In summary, in 2024, the Village Board approved an admissions agreement with the Central Lake County Joint Action Water Agency, CLC Jawa. The agreement introduced in a partnership with CLC Jawa and the Village of Lake Zurich to transition from the village's current groundwater source to Lake Michigan water. The village must secure 2 Environmental Protection Agency IEPA loans as part of the transition to Lake Michigan water. The first loan for $42 million will be for the reservoir and pump station and is currently in the IEPA loan application process. The second loan for $10 million is for the internal water distribution improvements and is anticipated to be submitted to the IEPA in 2027. The 2 loans will be funded by revenues of the Water and Sewer Fund. The associated debt service has been incorporated into the current and projected water rates approved by the board in December 2023.
Okay. Rita. Oops, sorry. I'm guessing it's Rita's.
We're sharing it. So as you have in front of you, this is the next big step to bring in Lake Michigan water into the village. These 2 loans will allow us to start building that pump station out on Midlothian, and also just the internal requirements to change to get to Lake County, or to Lake Michigan water. There are 3 other loans that are out there right now, but those are with CLC Jawa. That will be part of the process that CLC Jawa will go through. Eventually, yes, we will be paying those loans back to them, but this was all in the study back in 2023 with the increase in water rates for the next few years to be able to cover all these costs and to be able to bring Lake Michigan water to the village.
Okay. Mike, you got anything?
Yeah, I'll just add a quick update of where we're at. Couple of things is we are currently at 60% design for the receiving station here in the village jurisdiction, village limits, and then we are also in 60% for the booster station in the village of Mundelein. As well as we are still defining or refining the route study and easement acquisition. It is expected that we'll go out to bid in mid to late 2026 for both stations, with construction hopefully starting near the end of the year, and then going into 2027, which then the other bids will take place for the internal improvements as well as the pipeline bringing it into Lake Zurich.
Comments from the board? Anybody? Start down here this time? No? 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 Okay. Mark?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-01-646, authorizing the issuance of waterworks and sewerage revenue bonds of the Village of Lake Zurich in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $42 million.
So moved, Marks.
Kathleen, call the roll, please.
Second?
No, it was this. I made the motion.
Oh, he made the motion. You are the
Oh,
second.
okay,
You
I
are
have
the
a second,
second.
okay.
Marks was the second. Okay. Trustee Spicone?
Aye.
Trustee Chagru?
Aye.
Trustee Wyder?
Aye.
Trustee Baradwash?
Aye.
Trustee Marks?
Aye.
Second
right.
action?
Second action, I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-01-647, authorizing the issuance of waterworks and sewerage revenue bonds of the Village of Lake Zurich in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $10 million.
Second, please.
Second, Marks.
Mark and Marks again. Please call the roll. What?
It's the funky bunch.
Trustee Chagru?
Aye.
Trustee Wyder?
Aye.
Trustee Baradwash?
Aye.
Trustee Marks?
Aye.
And Trustee Spicone?
Aye.
Okay, that passed two more positive steps to Lake Michigan water. Okay. Next item, item C, is Trustee Wyder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Presentation of the Key Parks Master Plan. The FY25 budget included $100,000 in funding for the development of a master plan for Key Parks. The village's last comprehensive park and recreation master plan was completed in 2009, which included an analysis and recommendations for all parks, programs, facilities, and resources. Given the age of the document and the significant economic, social, and behavioral changes resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic, the village determined an update was necessary. The Key Parks Master Plan's purpose is to optimize the village's key existing park priorities and establish a strategic framework for the allocation of resources and redevelopment over the next 5 to 10 years. The plan update was focused more on community parks, which were selected based on several criteria, including Placer AI data, infrastructure needs, and input from the Park and Recreation Advisory Board. The parks included in the plan are Cushman Arboretum, Oak Ridge Park, Old Mill Grove Park, Staples Park, and Zurich's Park. In March 2025, the village issued a request for proposal for the development of the Key Parks Master Plan, with 12 proposals received. A village subtask force was formed to review the proposals, and the task force recommended Upland Design Limited, in partnership with ETC Institute and Engineering Resource Associates, to complete the plan. In June 2025, Upland Design initiated a 6-month planning process, beginning with data collection and site analysis conducted concurrently with community engagement sessions for feedback on development of the park's plan. Throughout 2025, residents and park users were offered multiple opportunities to provide input on potential park improvements. Upland Design has concluded that all agreed upon master plan phases and has prepared a draft plan for review by the Park and Recreation Advisory Board and the Village Board.
Wonderful.
Ms. Bonnie?
Great. So I'd like to introduce Liz Defoe from Upland Design. We've been partnering, as Trustee Whiter had mentioned, for the past 6 months, and we'd like to give you a look behind the curtain before the plan is presented to the village board for adoption, so that it provides an opportunity for the village board to see and be able to weigh in as well.
So this is like a courtesy review. It's the no
Basically.
voting item.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, welcome.
Right, hi. My name is Liz Defoe. I'm a principal and project manager with Upland Design. We're a landscape architecture firm with over 25 years of experience. And, all right, thank you. Now, I know you guys have had a long meeting, so I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible, but if at any point you guys have questions or want me to go into more depth on anything, please feel free to interrupt. All right, so you guys already went through all of the goals and objectives. We had really to do a deep dive into these 5 key parks and come up with strategies and some recommendations to and build an overall comprehensive plan and budget for the next 10 years. This was our overall process. As was mentioned, we started with data collection. We had a robust community engagement process, and then brought all that data together for a final master plan that we're presenting here today. So when we started off, we looked at every single park, and we looked at age and condition of all the amenities and made some initial recommendations. This will be part of the overall document that's provided, which can be used for future grants as well as some maintenance efforts if needed. Our first public meeting that we had was in all of the parks, where stakeholders and neighbors were able to give feedback not only on what they thought needed to be improved in the park, but look at some proposed amenities and give us feedback on whether they liked the idea, what they wanted to improve. In all cases, we were able to incorporate a lot of these recommendations and really help hone in on what needed to be improved in each park. So one of the things that came out of both the those initial stakeholder meetings and our subsequent community survey was the interest in having some ice skating features within the community. And so we had proposed an ice ribbon. We thought it would be a really unique, interesting idea for Lake Zurich. Unfortunately, we were not able to find a good spot due to its size inside any of the 5 key parks that we were looking at specifically. We really felt that this would need a good sized parking and be able so that a lot of people could come and look at it. So we just wanted to mention that we still think it's a great asset and maybe it could be considered for future development in another park or another place in the community. And these are some of the results that came out of our surveys. You can see ice rink are rated very highly. So after we did that initial stakeholder meeting, that helped guide us in our statistically valid survey. So this was done to develop priorities for investment based off of what people were looking for and get some objective feedback to help us create our master plans. So the survey was a 7-page written survey that was mailed to a random sample of households within the village, and people were able to return the survey by mail or online. We had 318 people complete the survey. We also had an additional 52. The survey was put online after the random completed surveys were done, so another 52 completed the survey after that. We have a 95% margin of error. And just a couple initial takeaways of the 318 residents that completed the survey, 96% of them said that they visited parks in Lake Zurich, which is above the national average of 81%. They also used public library, Lake County Forest Preserve, and neighboring park districts for if their needs weren't met in the community. And 87% believe it's very important, and another 11% believe it's somewhat important for the village to provide high-quality parks, recreation facility programs, and events. And just a couple takeaways. So this survey, or this question, was talking about what is preventing people from using your parks currently. And I just want to note the dark blue bar is non-users, which was only 13 people, and 305 are the light blue bars that responded to this question. And the top couple are lack of amenities in the park, a lack of restrooms, lack of parking, and shade were some of those top answers. And then as we looked at community needs, what people identified as things that weren't being provided in the park, they also, or for recreation as well, within Lake Zurich, we also wanted to balance that with if they had a need but was being served at the public library for a recreation program or something else. So really balancing how many people thought that this was important and how big of a need it was. So the top 3 items that came out of that are quality of programs for adults, variety of programs offered, and variety of different types of park in the community. So those were kind of the major categories that people were requesting improvement.
Can I interrupt with a question? So we've identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parks. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Coochman, Arboretum, Oak Ridge Park, Old Mill Grove Park, Staples Park, and Zurites Park.
Yes.
We're not coming up with a one-fits-all solution, are we?
Nope. And these were some of the initial overall, since it was a community-wide survey, we wanted to ask people about questions other than just about the parks, but we did ask them about specific park improvements in addition to some of these overall questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. This question was talking about priorities, the highest being walking, biking trails, restroom facilities came out again. People were also a high priority for passive parks, fitness equipments, they really like your beaches. So we really use these as an overall guiding force, as I said, we asked about individual parks and what people's highest priorities were. So I won't read all of these for you, but from 1 to 8, these are the top 8 priorities that people identified for each park. And overall habitat restoration came out, or adding habitat to parks like Zurites, which doesn't have its open lawn right now. Increasing or adding restrooms and increasing access, whether through trail improvements or parking, were all pretty common across the park, and adding some new features. And so you'll see in Oak Ridge, people were looking for improving the playground, water access. Old Mill, they were talking about a new pump track or bike facility. And in Staples, people mentioned the ice rink. They thought that would be good for there, but Staples is a little bit of a tight park, so that was one we looked at, potentially putting the ice ribbon in. So out of all of these, what we really took from the survey and our initial input from the community was these kind of 5 key improvements that we could make in each park, but then really customize them for each park. So we looked at habitat restoration and how can we incorporate green infrastructure, what kind of comfort amenities can we add or improve in the park, trail connections so that people are able to walk or bike into the parks. What are those unique features that we could add or improve in the park? And playgrounds we're in all of the parks, so how can we improve those, potentially with theming, as well as looking at ADA accessibility improvements. So starting with Cushman, this park we really we looked at wanting to preserve the natural beauty of the park, and we have so for habitat restoration, we really wanted to build on the great work that the team of volunteers has already been doing. One of the items is introducing infiltration swales along the driveway, adding a trail connection and some parking along there, opening up water access and putting in a new deck overlook on the lake. We also wanted to improve accessibility by paving with asphalt the main spine through, going from Lorraine Drive down to the parking lot. All other paths would remain unpaved, and as well as adding some key features like increasing the playground size. People were interested in making it a little bit more robust with a treehouse, play structure, some additional shade there. We're also showing an outdoor classroom. This would be where the current one is located. We'd just be improving accessibility and making it a little bit more robust. We do have a meditation space within the woodland area, and this is really meant to be a nice calming, respite from the, busy world around, for people to sit and enjoy the outdoors. Next, looking at Oak Ridge Park. So this is where the old Public Works building is coming down. So lots of opportunities to renovate this park. For the natural areas, since it makes up a large part of this park, and you have nice water access here, we wanted to open up those views. We do have natural area maintenance plans that we looked at for each of the parks as well, which I will touch on in a few minutes. But as it relates to improvements, we wanted to add a boardwalk or overlook into the water. So we're really bringing that water into the community's view and access. We also looked at enlarging the parking lot, adding restrooms, improving the trails here and connections. We added an inner loop. There's currently a trail going from Lions Drive through. And so we would add an additional inner loop. One of the big unique features that got added, as you'll see, is 6 pickleball courts and a new half-court basketball court. So adding some new amenities here, along with shelter. And the playground would go with the nature wetland theme to go with the surrounding areas. But in each of the parks, we really, since it's very difficult to make every single playground an all-inclusive universal playground, we really wanted to look at, well, what sort of ADA special inclusive features we could add to each park. So here we've got an inclusive ADA swing. It's called a WeGo swing, where any users in wheelchairs or with mobility devices can roll right onto the swing and transfer on and not have to leave their wheelchair or mobility device. So that's just one example. And we also looked at reworking the parking lot here and utilizing permeable paving where possible. At Old Mill Park, we again looked at improving the existing habitat that is out there and addressing drainage concerns that are in the open lawn areas, adding some additional planting and rain gardens there. We are looking at adding a new parking lot on the east side where the playground and a lot of people are parking along the road to utilize the existing multi-purpose sports fields. And we would also add a restroom building here, new shelter, improve the playground. This one, we're looking at making it an inclusive playground with port-in-place surfacing. The kids out there picked a dinosaur STEM theme for this one as an idea that could also have some sand play, discovery items, a new shelter, restroom would also be included. And
So, can I ask another question? This is for Mike. Old Mill Grove Park, isn't a lot of that related to, that area related to stormwater retention or stormwater management issues?
Yeah, the back half, the north, lot 58, as we know it as, but is all stormwater natural area back there. The north, outside the perimeter or the print of the park improvements.
Do you know how much of the park is dedicated to that?
Not off the top.
Or is the whole park that way? Because Bristol Trails is almost like that.
The whole back half, you see it's primarily wetland back there.
Right.
But in the green space up front is really the park active area.
Mm-hmm.
The back is all passive with paths.
So we're not talking about doing anything back there except maybe some paths, right?
we do have a natural area maintenance plan to help improve the quality of those wetland areas, but yeah, we are maintaining the trails that are there existing. and adding in some boardwalks so people can access and enjoy the natural areas.
Well, there've been some sort of half-baked attempts at doing that stuff back there. If you went back there, you know what it's like, you know?
Yeah.
So anything would be better than what's there now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then I also wanted to mention this, there is already a multi-purpose field out there. We are looking at enlarging it as much as possible, removing the existing sand volleyball court out there to do so, and then adding a potential pump track adjacent to it, and we also looked at Old Mill Grove Park as a location for a skate park if it were to leave Paulus Park, could be relocated here. Next is Staples Park, which is pretty built out with baseball fields, and so we really focused on how we could improve those the current amenities you had. And the big item here is the existing restroom concession building. So we're proposing an entirely new restroom concession building with an adjacent shelter. So this would provide new shade and restrooms for the park users that currently don't have them. We also looked at this area as all asphalt paving right now, so we are proposing to break some of that up with new trees, some permeable paving, really create a nice gathering space that in the center core area of this baseball complex. We are also showing batting cages came out of discussion. Those would be led by the Baseball Association, but we also are proposing at the south end, swapping out the existing 3-ring basketball with a full court basketball, which you guys don't currently have in the village, and then improve, full court basketball. Yeah, so you have a lot of like half courts or like keys. And then the playground, it's on a nice hill, so we can take advantage, get some interesting hill play, make it a baseball sports themed playground. Our ADA feature here is utilizing an all-inclusive spinner that works really nice with the poured in place surfacing. For habitat restoration, there is an existing detention just south of the kind of southeast corner. So we would look at restoring some of that landscaping, and then there's also a natural area on the very south end of the park that we would be looking at improving that habitat as well.
So Staples Park is the key park for the LCBSA baseball. And I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but keep this in the back of your mind. They run an amazing tournament there. Is it in the fall or in the late summer? Where almost every street around there is jammed with cars.
Yeah.
And again, we go back to parking. We're not going to be able to solve for these special events that happen 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, after talking to the baseball guys, I think we're all in agreement that we would like to see that park turned into a premier baseball facility. It's got all the diamonds there now.
Mm-hmm.
Raise them up to a higher level with whatever amenities they would need. So.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think?
Well, if they're benefiting from it and they're making money on their program, are they paying us for rental for that space?
Who's to say they're making money on their program?
It's not cheap.
I understand. I think what they do is they cover their cost for running the program, but I don't know that they're making any money.
Yeah,
I'm
so,
sorry.
so the Lake Zurich Baseball and Softball Association is one of our 4 affiliates that we do work with throughout the village. So they are a certified 501c3, which basically says they're putting the money back into their program.
Right.
And they do, I actually just sent an email to them today requesting their annual documentation. Lake Zurich Baseball and Softball Association is one of those organizations that does give me a breakdown annually, which I will make sure to pass along to the village board in my next monthly report of the capital projects that they invest onto our property. So they're constantly doing different projects, whether that be upgrading a field, upgrading a backstop, making it ADA accessible that the whole community can take advantage of. So that is something that they pour back into the properties that they use.
Right. My point being, though, that it's a very popular facility for baseball, spring, summer, and fall. It's not just a once-in-a-while used park.
It
It
was one of
should
our highest.
reflect,
Yeah.
it should
Highest.
reflect a higher standard than what it is now, is basically all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
definitely agree, and I think that was really the goal with the improvements that we're proposing here, is that take what you already have and just kind of bring up the standard, and offer more shade, more trees, really the comfort of amenities that I think people coming to those baseball tournaments would look for. So, as well as all the residents, I didn't mention new trail system, even when we were out there, for the couple hours for the public meeting. It was a very popular, walking area, so making sure that there's accessible trails, a nice loop within the park for the entire community.
A lot of this stuff is in need of rehabilitation or just redoing.
Yeah.
You know, that they're way old.
Yeah, and the Staples playground was an OSLAD, I think from 2010, 11, so it's definitely, that's why it's on here to be improved. All right, so the last park we looked at was Zurich, and this park has an existing playground and large open space. And so we really wanted to maintain that large open multi-purpose field space, but again, improve parking with a pass-through drive lane so that you can get in and out. Currently, the parking lot has a one-way in and one-way out. And one of the big things that came out of these public meetings was shade. So when the playground is improved here, we're looking at adding some ninja course equipment, which would be unique for the village, still including wheelchair or accessible components. Here we're showing a sway fun, which again is an inclusive piece that kind of rocks back and forth, but is a fun for kids of all ages. And a new shelter, as well as additional shade for people sitting at the playground or parents watching. We would add a new restroom here. There is some drainage. There's a good slope coming from the north to the south, so we're looking at adding a rain garden to help address some of those that drainage concerns, as well as adding some native planting to the park. And I think that's so I just wanted to, again, mention, we did do, in addition to the park improvement planning, we also had ERA, our environmental engineers, look at each site and make recommendations for natural area management. And they looked at, you know, what kind of invasives need to be removed, the cost of reseeding and prescribed burns, and we put that together as well. And then after we kind of looked at all the improvements, I also wanted to mention that we did look at some grants that could help fund these projects. OSLAD, which you guys are familiar with, I know you guys just got one for Paulus Park, is a big one, and we have used that in when I present the costs for these projects. But some other that could be considered are recreational trail grant program, which is great for nature trails, improvements, and a land water conservation fund, a district or grant program is good if there is any land acquisition, or if there's potential to add property to a park. That grant is usually not enough people apply for it, so there's money available. There's also bike path grant program and ITEP, which is another trail project program through IDOT that also provides funding that could be utilized. So I do have a copy of all of our, we created a summary of the cost for every park, and I will hand those out when I'm done. I just wanted to, we put all the wants, basically, that people wanted that made sense in the park, and we're calling those the unconstrained master plan costs here. We did also want to present a constrained version, which is a little bit more affordable and focusing on some of the most important amenities to get included. And then we also have all the parks other than Zurich's has a 5-year natural area maintenance cost. So the total that you see on these summaries is for all 5 years. Zurich's, since they don't currently have any natural area, but we'd be adding a rain garden, would require some maintenance when it goes in, but was not looked at as part of that. And this is an example of what those natural area plans would look like. So we did a preliminary phasing plan. So this was based off of age of existing amenities and need. And so the order we have, and then I also put submitting for an OSLAD submittal the year prior to the development. So for instance, this year you could submit for Oak Ridge an OSLAD submittal and then have the development in 2027 with Staples, Old Mill, Cushman, and Zurich's following spread out over the next 10 years. And this is what that looks like in a little bit more of a breakdown. And again, I will share a copy of all of this with you guys. So the different color codes stand for each of the parks. And starting at the top with Oak Ridge, we're looking 2026, the only cost would be to apply for the OSLAD grant. And then every year we're showing what the constrained versus unconstrained totals would be. So you've got the cost for the park development and then year one of the natural area management. And so those are just duplicated with the only thing changing being the constrained versus unconstrained. And then after a project is redeveloped, that kind of kicks in the 5 years of the management. So that is going to continue across the next 5 years. So Oak Ridge and then Staples and then you've got Old Mill and Cushman and then Zurich's at the end.
Can we change the priority of those parks?
Yeah. That's why this was just our preliminary, but please let us know if you guys have feedback on that. And that is kind of that's all I've got for tonight. So let me know if you have any questions or anything I can go back to.
So obviously with the preparation of all of the recommendations, they all have a cost component associated with them. And as you may be aware, every other year we do a comprehensive update to our 20-year CIP. And so the timing of this report is very fortuitous, is that whatever guidance that you provide to us in terms of your priorities and the order in which we might want to look for things, some of them will be opportunistic, we'll be looking for grants or sponsorships or so forth, but the guidance and direction you can provide us that guidance can be reflected then as we go forward and update the CIP for this year and look at the projects for the next few years.
So do you want board input on this now or no?
If you want to start tonight, that's great. If you want to digest it and come back at a future meeting and provide us that direction, that would be as helpful as well.
Well, let's just do a quick down and dirty. If there's anything that you've seen that you'd like to have prioritized or
Deprioritized?
Or deprioritized, yeah, whatever.
Well, I'm gonna hold something you said against you, Tom, because I think it was a key point you made about Breezewell Park is each of our parks serves a particular purpose, and Cushman Arboretum is the last raw nature space in Lake Zurich. And I think I hear ADA accessibility and needing to cater to those folks that need extra considerations, but 6 months ago, Ancient Oaks was here talking about how they have a program to enable ADA accessibility in a park like Cushman. So I'd really just strenuously deprioritize paving within that park, because as the kids say these days, you got to go and touch grass sometimes. So keep that space wild.
Yeah. Good.
That's not bad. Expected worse. Anybody?
Let me. First off, I attended a couple of these sessions and I love the outreach from the community. So props to you guys and Bonnie for having that open session and forum. Love the ADA focus. I think gives the opportunity to a lot of kids that don't have the opportunity to be able to utilize everything that we have to offer. The mayor kind of touched on, and I've talked a lot to Mr. Brown and Ms. Caputo about the Bear Claw tournament that was being brought up. very close to that board, and it is a mega event that we would like to expand on. Obviously, having to use porta potties and walk probably a quarter of a mile to get to the restroom is less than ideal for anybody. So I love what you have to offer, not only on all of them, but definitely Staples. So
Yeah, but it's not just the Bear
correct.
Claw tournament.
Not just that.
That park is probably one of the more heavy used parks of this group. With
Without a doubt.
baseball and every day,
Yeah.
there's basketball, there's pickleball and tennis, there's all that stuff.
Correct,
So
100%. But love what you.
it's almost from, what, like April through, when's winter ball start, or fall ball? Goes
It ends
until November?
October, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
anyway.
almost year round. But no, I appreciate the presentation and your thoroughness. Thank you.
I would just say that I agree with the taking another look at Cushman about paving the pathways. If you look at Lake County has some wonderful forest preserves throughout the county, and if you take a moment to kind of maybe look at some of them are paved, some of them are wood chips, some of them are like limestone paths. So I think there's a variety. I'm very sensitive to the whole ADA requirements and making areas accessible, but I think there might be another way. So I think there would be some value in that. I got to say that I really like the Cushman connection to the lake and the fishing pier. I think that looks great. Again, I think that provides some accessibility. I think about people getting across the road, and that gives me a little bit of a headache, but I thought that was a great concept and a way to kind of, have an additional offering in that property. The village has invested time and resources there, as has Ancient Oaks and some of our other community organizations. So making that one of our priorities, I think, just makes sense. I would agree with Staples with, we are or at least, when my kids were younger, we were very much a youth sports community. We've got, it feels like, you're playing soccer, baseball, now we've got rugby, a variety of different things. So I think providing, as part of this plan, providing the best possible athletic type facilities for folks is a nice use of our resources. I think too, if we're going to have them, the mayor had mentioned, let's make them the very best that they could be. I'm always, in favor of having Lake Zurich be the best of any community around. I enjoy pointing that out to my colleagues at work. So,
But that doesn't mean everybody gets everything they want.
well, nobody's going to get everything they want, but I would definitely think those two particular areas. One of the concepts I thought was interesting, and I attended one of the community the meetings, is the community. I'll just call it calling for bathrooms. I just thought that was I guess it was something that I wouldn't have thought of. As a, it was like, it came up a lot. So it was like a top 3 type priority. And I think that's a great idea, but I'm still struggling with it in my mind. It's like, well, how do we the worst thing you can have is a dirty bathroom, right? So, I mean, how do you keep them clean? How do you keep them maintained? How do you keep them safe? How much do they cost? But at the same time, what a great amenity for folks. I think like when my kids were little, to having to, the look on their face when you took them to the porta potty in July when it was 92 degrees. So again, I think that's an interesting concept. I don't know how it all shapes out priority wise. Again, pickleball, I think is, I guess it's not a thing of the future. I think it's a thing of today. It's not necessarily my thing. I would just say when we're putting them into our parks, be mindful. 100 years ago, I used to work for the Y, and I remember when racquetball was the biggest thing on the face of the earth, and every YMCA went out and built 15 racquetball courts, and within 5 years, we were converting them into chiropractor offices and anything that we could. So, I'm in favor of providing those things to folks, but maybe just a little bit of thought where, do we need 6? Could 3 get us there? And maybe the answer is no. Maybe the answer is, yeah, we need 6. But, just a thought process on that. Yeah, it meets a today need, but when you're spending capital dollars to put put things on the ground and in the ground. You know, you don't want to have to go back 5 years later and convert them into something else. So, other than that, I appreciate your work. I would just say that I appreciate all the community folks who took the survey and came out to the meetings. I had some nice conversation with folks, and I would say, you know, I'm in just a different part or different place in my life than I was 20 years ago. So it's nice to hear folks' different perspectives on what they want for where their family is at this time. So thank you to all the residents and park users that came out and took their time to come out and share their thoughts. So I appreciate that. So thanks.
Okay.
And thanks for your work on this
Yeah,
too.
thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I'm encouraged to see the ADA accessibility amenities such as swing sets for wheelchairs and things like that. I brought that up a number of years ago. Roger kind of picked up the torch from me on that in terms of leading the charge. The one thing I just want to make sure that we're careful with, because these are all amazing improvements. And I know we have the Cadillac version, the mid-grade, the Chevy version, and then, as I like to say, because I drove one back in the 1980s, the Yugo version. So you've got all kinds of different levels there. The ticket, and as you spread this out over 10 years, it's only going to become a lot more exponentially more expensive because of where things are at right now in building materials and equipment costs. We're in the middle of a massive investment in our infrastructure for Lake Michigan water. And I need to caution people as we go forward, and I've been meaning to have this conversation with staff, we really need to figure out how we can hold the line on taxes over the next several years because of the ask that we put on the water bills. We really need to figure that out, and we need to be very cautious, and I appreciate the OSLAD grant and all the different funding sources. We need to get very creative on what's out there because we really need to start to hold the line on our property taxes in this community. It will help us stay viable and competitive because it will continue to choose to be a destination while being as affordable as possible for people, knowing that we've got to make sure that we continue to provide a first-class city for our residents to live in, right? So how do we find that balance? And that's my biggest concern going forward as we start to look at this. And when I'm hearing from my neighbors about the 5% increase in their property taxes, we know the school district is 65% of the tax bill, but we do have a piece of it, right? And we've still got pension obligations for our police and fire. We've got a lot of other bills that we have to pay, and we've made a significant investment in our water, which needed to be done. Don't get me wrong, very important change that we're making. These are very important projects that need to happen, but at the back end, we need to make sure that we're doing right by the people that live in our community, and for all of us as well, because when I moved here, my property tax bill was $7,500. It's $12,000 now, and that's in 10 years. So that's 11 years. That's a pretty significant bump right there in terms of a growth in property taxes. And I know that's not all us, but let's just do our best to support as much as we can within our community, but at the same time support that bottom line on the bill as well. So thank you for this. This is all great. And I too agree with the pickleball thing. I don't know if it's a forever thing. And with the township investing in pickleball, and then they had a fight and they had to shut them down on people because people couldn't behave. We got kids that are starting our porta-johns on fire, all of them all over town, except for the ones that line Rand Road along the lake and make it look so pretty like it does. But we've got those issues, and how do we support the maintenance of bathrooms and taking care of them and making sure they're locked up at night so kids aren't vandalizing them and things. So how do we pull all that together? So not only is this an enhancement of our amenities, but it's also an increase in responsibility and the burden on our staff and maybe having to hire staff to be able to take care of those amenities that we don't have in place right now. So it's a bigger steamroll or snowball going down the hill of things that will be added on that are just going to cost money. So just as we move forward, we've got to be really careful about what that looks like and how we do that.
Okay.
To me being a fiscal conservative. Boys and girls?
You're good? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Where are we going from here?
So please feel free to reach out to us. As Liz stated, she does have some takeaway materials for you, so that you can take a finer look at the proposal. And then we plan to present to the Park Advisory Board for their feedback at their February 10th meeting.
Okay.
And then we hope to come back to the Village Board with an adoption of the concept plans, hopefully by late February, early March.
Okay. Good deal, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else with regard to this, that would be the end of our regular business. So we have trustee reports. Do we have any trustee reports tonight, folks?
I do.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Sue?
Yes.
No,
I know it's,
go on.
I know it's a long meeting already, but I just wanted to quickly, on January 10th, we had an incident in our town and some police action as well. Chief, can you give us a brief rundown, please?
Sure. Trustee Bargewaj had asked if I could just give a little synopsis of an incident we had. As she said, January 10th, our officers responded to a burglary at the Casey's on South Rand, in which a subject shot through the front window and stole some items from there. The officers that looked into that incident found some similarities with some other cases we had had both at that location and another location in the village. And through a investigative network we have and good video there, we were able to kind of put two and two together and started to develop that day a suspect that we learned had a Lake Zurich address. We worked with the state's attorney's office. They told us that we had probable cause to find that person and would help us work on a search warrant if the address we had was correct. That address was in the South Shore Village complex. We went to that area. Subject did not answer his door, but we could see him inside. Because this crime had happened with a firearm, we had some concerns. Safety of our officers, the capabilities we have. We're part of a multi-jurisdictional SWAT team, the largest non-full-time SWAT team in the nation. It's called NIPUS, Northern Illinois Police Alarm System, and one of their teams is the Emergency Services Team. They do high-risk warrants, they do barricaded subjects, they do hostage situations, et cetera, et cetera. We have an officer that's on that team. Covers 100 communities throughout the Chicago area, from all the way down south of I-55 all the way out to McHenry. And so we called them and said, we have this situation. And they said, well, with firearms involved and the person that did that just for a burglary, they would come out and assist us. So it was a large police presence. They bring a lot of officers. They bring command. They bring a few command vehicles, armored vehicles, et cetera. And so they helped us. We had already secured the scene, made a perimeter up, and what happens is then they come in and help with their highly trained people. Evacuated one of the units next to it. We worked very well with the property manager of South Shore Village. He was very helpful as far as knowing who different people are in the community and helping us notify people. We were able to set up a perimeter, and every way through this situation in the command post, we have command in the post with them to go through what are options, what are the best, safest ways to do this, what kinds of things would we like to see. We eventually did, or under their working of this team, we eventually did put some CS gas into that unit. Eventually, the person did surrender and come out and was charged with a significant amount of felonies. Had some issues. We did find more firearms in the unit, a lot of ammunition, so we certainly don't want those things to go bad. But this is an insurance policy that we have, just like our major crimes task forces, crash assistance teams. These are multi-jurisdictional teams that are the best in the area that can come help in situations that are a little past what we could have done. We felt at the time, we knew he was in his unit, but to wait, certainly you can think about making a perimeter and waiting him out. We did try to get him to come out with loudspeaker, et cetera, et cetera. And even when the team was there, he knew that they were outside, and he still didn't come out for a number of hours. But eventually it came to a successful completion. He was arrested, significant charges. He has been held in Lake County Jail pending his further court appearances, but did a really nice job. I appreciate that team and what that gives us as an option. So I just wanted to explain a little bit more about what happened and certainly answer any questions. We did put a media release out, tried to get out as much information as we could at the time, but it is a large presence that some of you have contacted us about that day, and just happy that it happened that way it did, and we were well prepared. The team was very impressed with our staff, impressed that we were already working on the search warrant and had probable cause, and there's a judge that lives in town, helped us, came in and signed the warrant, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a pretty well done situation by our people and this team. But I just wanted to answer any questions if you had any.
Great police work, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. Any other trustee reports tonight? No? Staff reports? Anybody got anything they want to chat about? No? Okay, we were going to schedule an executive session, but we're not doing that tonight. So that's the end of our regular business. Next meeting is February something.
Second.
February 2nd. May I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved, Marks.
Marks, and a second.
Second, Bharadwaj.
Sue,
Yeah, me.
and please call the roll.
Okay, trustee Shagru,
Aye.
trustee Wyder.
Aye.
Trustee Bradwash,
Aye.
trustee Marks.
Aye.
Trustee Spicone.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks for your attendance. We are adjourned.